Is going to be a very important day. The reason being is because today is a very content-rich day. So what I mean by that is that what you're going to find is you're going to be able to go back to these videos time and time again and really take a look at this, at how he goes through the listing presentation itself. Now, I've brought Deanna in here today is because Deanna took this incredible course last year, wasn't it? And into this year. It was a one-year course.
It was in 2017, and then I spent 2018. I just had a role play partner, so
Okay.
practice.
Can you just tell us about now? This training program was hosted by Paul Barron, Leading Edge Group, which is a Century 21 brokerage in Toronto. But it was hosted. The training was done by Kathleen Black. Who has heard of Kathleen Black? I know you would have met Kathleen Black down in Niagara Falls a couple of years ago, correct? And you probably heard about her before. Kathleen Black is one of the leading coaches here in Canada. We have been affiliated with her for the last number of years with Century 21 as well. But I just want to hand it over to you and talk to you a little, talk about that course that you did, because it was a one-year course.
Yeah, and the whole course, like the listing portion, wasn't a year, but it was kind of integrated into.
Yeah.
So
So just mention about what was the benefits of taking that course?
I guess off the top, the benefit is to provide value, not to be a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
To run your business in a way that you're going to love it rather than hate it, because you tend to chase after clients and engage in behavior based on their treating us like a commodity. It's the best way to sum it up.
Yeah.
So it just teaches you the skills to go deeper, to show up and give exceptional value, to value yourself.
Yep.
And then it gives you a whole massive tools in your toolkit to do the job right down to understanding your seller's personality, identifying their personalities first, and how to communicate with them.
Yeah. Is it easy to identify personalities? No. Because personalities change, right? I always say, you can have that normal behavior, and then as soon as it goes to sell their house, they become the most analytical person, and they know everything, right? And so reading personalities is not easy. So what I've done is, as we go through the videos today, I'm going to reach out to Deanna and kind of talk about her experience and what she has seen. And Jane, obviously you've heard a lot of information regarding Deanna's experience with this. What's your conversion rate with listing presentations now? Go.
Probably, I would say like 6 to 8 out of 10.
Yeah. So it is a good conversion rate.
Yeah.
Because what was it before? About 5?
Yeah, probably maybe 5.
Yeah.
And then also getting caught up in that commodity-based thing where now you have to cut your commission in order to get it, and which I don't do now. And actually, just on a side note, I've done less business this year than I did in units than I did last year, but I made way more money this year.
And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that, because commission is actually a big factor in our industry. A lot of people think, going from 2.5 to 1.5, that's only 1%. But actually, if you actually convert that, it's actually 40% of your income gone, just like that. What we've noticed is, and I took a look at the numbers this morning, our number 2 agent and our number 3 agent in dollar value, the highest producing agents, what we discovered was the number 2 agent did 31 deals. Okay? Number 2 agent did 31 deals. Number 3 agent did 40 deals. There was the difference between those two individuals was only $9,000 in GCI. And I took a look at the number 2 agent. Number 2 agent had done around 2.4% commission, whereas the other agent did about 1.8% commission. Okay, took a look at the agent just to make sure that they weren't working with a builder, because we know with builders and stuff that you have to reduce your commission and stuff. That wasn't the case. We see this continually over and over again. Mark Vandenbrink has done an incredible. He has had an incredible year. One of the things is he really brought his GCI up this year. This is one of the things that we're going to be focusing in on today, is really protecting your commission. With a lot of our new agents, you know what I do? I tell them, I said, if you're going out to do a listing presentation, take a look at the value of the home, write yourself 2 checks. One for 2.5 and one for 1.5. And I'll tell you, when you're having those, in your briefcase or whatever, in your purse, I'll tell you, when you take a look at that dollar difference, that is massive, you know. And I always tell people, at the end of the day, think about that 1% is basically the taxes you're paying off to the government, you know, and you're protecting your other percentage, okay? So today, really rich content, and I think there's actual outtakes from these videos today. So one of the things is that with the presentation, with the videos, there's a lot of space for writing notes. Please take as many notes as possible today, because there's a lot of great content, and again, over the next week or so, continue to go back to this, review the information as much as possible. So what we'll do is we'll get started with the first one. It's 3 stages of a seller consult. Stage 1, establishing authority. Go ahead, Jen.
What are you doing? Tammy wants to know if she's at home.
Yeah, so I'm recording it. So
Recording it now?
Recording it now. I'm not doing it Facebook Live because I had to get.
Oh, you're recording it.
Recording
okay,
it.
Sorry.
Yeah. The reason being is because Richard Robbins didn't allow me to Facebook it live because of copyright issues, because it would be going out to all the agents, and so yeah, exactly. So, okay, so let's watch the first video.
Ron, how long do we have access to these videos after the course is finished? Like, is it just all forever, or?
They did say you have. They said a long period of time. They didn't say when, but they said you do have access to it, and especially for Module 7, I think it's great. Like this has a lot of content that you can go back to time and time again. So, but I'll reach out to Rachel again and get a better idea.
Welcome to the Listing Workshop. Thanks so much for coming back. I'm telling you right now, you're doing fabulous. If you made it this far, you're doing great. Good for you. So what I want to do is quick review. What did we talk about last time? We talked about buyer and seller mastery systems. That's what we're taking you through. There's actually a system to how to present to a buyer, present to a seller. What we talked about as well is we talked about how to do the buyer consult. Remember, we had the little role play we took you through there? Hopefully you gained some ideas from that. We also talked about focusing on the concept of educating. Remember, we talked about selling is what? Selling is influence. And what are you trying to influence them to do? Make a decision that is in their best interest. And what is one of the most powerful influencers? It's educating the prospect to what it is they don't know so they can make a better decision. We also talked about informed buyer guides. We talked about informed seller guides. So what we're going to get into today is a listing workshop. And we're going to take you through the 3 stages, okay, of a seller consult. So we want to take you through. So stage 1 is this. It's about establishing authority as soon as you get there. It's about setting the stage. It's about managing expectations. It's about asking questions, okay, and doing a tour of the home. So go ahead and take a look at this. Listen, Ralph and the crew, it's great to be here with you. I appreciate the opportunity, and the reason I do is because we know there's lots of real estate agents out there, right? And so you get a lot to choose from. I understand that, so I appreciate the chance to be here. What I want to do is I want to take you through what the agenda's going to look like and what we're going to do. So I laid it out there for you. And basically what's going to happen is I want to start out by talking about your needs and goals. Right? I want to figure out what it is you really want to do so that I can help you achieve those. Then the second thing I want to do is I want to take a tour of the home, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Once we finish having a look at the home, then I want to come back and I want to sit down, and one of my goals is I want to help you understand what's going on in the market. Now there's a lot of information out there. I understand people are on the internet, they're reading the news reports about real estate, but let's face it, not everything in the news is always true, so I want you to understand your specific market. Next thing I want to talk about is exactly the best way to qualify a real estate agent. Because in a lot of cases, people aren't quite sure how to qualify a real estate agent. So I'll sort of bring you up to speed, and what I'm going to suggest is probably the best way to handle that. Once we've done that, I'm going to talk about my qualifications. Then I'm going to get to pricing your home. I'm going to talk a little bit about our strategic marketing, how we're going to expose your home. And when we get to the end, hopefully we'll be able to make a mutual decision that's best for everybody. Sound good? Great. Wonderful. Well, Ralph, I was speaking with you on the phone a few days ago, and I asked you a number of questions. And what I want to do is I want to review those questions, and I'll tell you why I do, because I was only speaking with you. And quite honestly, you know who makes the decisions in the house, right? Yes, I understand. Happy wife, happy life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
try to, though.
Let me just review those.
Can't do it
First
on
of
the
all,
secret
you
in the
said you
ground,
wanted to move closer to the city, is that right? Okay. Now, why do you want to move closer to the city?
Just work, commute is really difficult, sitting in traffic,
I understand, so.
There we
How
are.
long does it take you to get down right now?
about 40 minutes,
40 minutes?
yeah, one way.
Wow, so you're looking at an hour and a half every day, multiply that by a couple hundred days a year, that's a long, long time, right? Great. Now, have you been out looking around at all yet?
No, just online.
Okay, so you sort of just went online. So then, you haven't bought anything?
No, we have not.
Okay, so it sounds to me like what you want to do is you want to sell first?
We talked about it, yeah, probably sell first.
Okay, good. Reason being, you want to sell first? Like, you haven't even looked around, what are you thinking?
I think that we just want to make sure we know exactly how much money we have to spend, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy making that huge decision without knowing how much we have for our sale price, right?
I understand. Okay, which by the way, is the best way to do it. You're gonna know your closing date, you know how much money you got in your pocket, and then you can go in and make a firm offer, which quite often you're gonna make a better deal when you buy. Now, do you have an agent in the area you wanna buy in?
No, I mean, we've talked to Bob, but
Yeah.
not really anything yet, no.
Not really.
Just a phone call.
Okay, very, very good. Now, when I was speaking with you, you said you have another real estate agent, and I know I just happened to call you out of the blue, right? Because I listed that house down the street, but you have another agent, and it's Bob, and you've already spoken with Bob, is that right? Okay, good, and you're sort of leaning that way, that's sort of what I felt.
Yeah, Bob is a mutual friend, you know, we've known him for about a year or so, and,
Okay.
yeah, he's in the business, so.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, great. Well, we'll talk all about that. And I say the best thing to do is, this is your most valuable asset, right? And if you're going to sell your most valuable asset, it makes sense. You probably want to hire the best qualified person for the job, you know, get the most amount of money for your home. So I'll take you through what it is I do, the results that I produced, and hopefully put you in a position that you can just make an informed and educated decision as to what's best for you. That's all I want to do.
That's perfect.
Great. Now, when I was talking on the phone, you said you thought your home was worth about $750,000. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been at open houses and stuff, and
Okay.
it seems about,
I read the paper as well, I see what's out there. On MLS, we're on MLS all the time.
Yeah, I know. Everybody is, right? Which is great, right? Keeps you up to speed on what's going on. Now, in terms of a closing date, I know we're speaking on the phone, you said you were looking at around 90 days, but it sounded to me what was most important is you wanted to make sure you got moved before the school year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Is there anything else I should know? Is there anything else you want to tell me just to make sure that, you know, I'm up to speed on what's going
Well, we
on?
have a trip booked for first week of June, just
Okay.
for a few days. I don't know if that'll impact anything at
Okay.
all, but
First week of June?
yeah.
Very good. Okay. I'm curious too, what are you looking for specifically in a real estate agent?
honesty is very important.
Okay.
Yeah, we want someone we can trust.
Okay.
We know
Gotta
we
set that
definitely want
at the
them to sell. So, yeah, I think someone that's honest and trustworthy is definitely important for us.
Okay, very good. And I'm just wondering, have you thought about selling it yourself, or have you pretty well committed to the idea that you want to use a realtor?
I don't think that this is the right way to do it, so.
Very good. So at this point, what I'd like to do, I'd love to have a quick look at the house if you don't mind, but a couple things I want to ask you. Number one, I want you to take me through the house, and I want you to show it to me as if I was a buyer. The reason I want you to do that is I want you to point out everything you love about this particular home, because first of all, I've got to create brochures. I've also got to sell other agents on it and sell buyers on it. So I want to share with them what you loved about this house and why you bought it, right? The second thing, and I need your permission for this, if we're going through the house, and if I see something that you could potentially change, okay, that would cause your house to sell in maybe a shorter period of time or for a little more money, would it be okay if I mention that?
Yeah, I appreciate that, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, great. Quite often they're positive, but sometimes there might be a little negative, and that's why I asked permission. But again, you know, we've got a stager that can help us out, but I might make some suggestions as we go through, so that's great. So if you're all ready, let's go have a peek. Welcome back. Well, what did you think? So hopefully you got some notes, hopefully you got some ideas, and remember what I said before, it doesn't have to be exactly like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. But what I want you to do is, I want you to see better ways that you could do it using your personality and some of your ideas as well.
Okay, so establishing authority. First of all, I'm just curious, I should have asked this right at the beginning. How many of you have a listing presentation that you use? Okay, so about, yeah, because I know so many listing presentations, it's usually the drive over of what you're going to say, right? Then you go in, then you practice your listing presentation in front of your client, and then you have the drive home banging your head on the steering wheel saying, I should have said this, I should have said that, right? So this is why it's so important to really establish and I encourage you guys, if you want to do listing presentations in front of me or in front of another peer, I'd highly recommend it, because you start to get, it gets better and better as you go through, because doing a listing presentation in front of your peer group or a colleague of yours, they know the rebuttals, right? They know how to ask the questions and push back on you. I always find it's very difficult at the beginning, but once you get more and more comfortable with, Deanna, you did that for months on end with your peer group, right?
Yeah, once a week. Just
Once a week.
You just keep repeating and repeating, and eventually it's just natural.
Yes, and it becomes more, now do you find it a lot easier when you go in to do a listing presentation, correct? Because of the practicing. It's just like anything. Now, establishing authority. One of the things I noticed in that, do you guys usually do the tour before you sit down at the kitchen table, or when do you do it? I'm just curious. When do you usually? You do it before, right? Yeah.
I do it. I sit down first.
You sit down first?
Just to qualify, kind of, and
Yeah.
build up rapport, and then.
And do the walk around.
But I don't do what he does.
No, this is.
Obviously, I should.
Now, what you're going to find, and I've watched these videos many times over the last 2 years. One of the things that you're going to find is that you're going to really gravitate to some parts of what he says, and there's going to be some parts that you're not going to gravitate towards because it's not who you are, okay? But take and establish what you're going to use, because there's a lot of great tools inside of this. Now, showing authority, okay, without showing authority, that's one of the key things is when you walk into somebody's home, which he didn't talk about, when you walk into the home, what's the whole key? Where are you trying to get to first?
Kitchen table.
Kitchen table. Why is that?
Decision place.
It's the decision place, right? It's the psychological part. Now, you usually go, Jane?
Yes.
Yeah, always to the kitchen table.
Yeah.
You set up, and what I do find is this true for most of you? Do you get to the kitchen table, set up, and then do the tour of the house?
Yes.
For the most part, I find that most agents. Again, you go
I
for the
talk first.
likability and trust. Now, there were some really great questions down there. I saw a lot of you writing those questions down, the questions that he was asking. One of the key things there was he was asking for permission for what?
To be able to show improvements, enhancements.
Yeah. Isn't that one of the most difficult things as you're walking around the house and you're like, oh my God. It's just like, you know, it's funny when I'm listening to agents in the Tuesday morning meeting when you're showing the homes, and they're like, you can hear the, oh my God. You know, and it's one of the things is it's very difficult to, again, one of the houses that we showed yesterday, I think it was Kevin's, and it was the color schemes in that home was pretty atrocious, right? And you know, it was just one of those things that it does have an effect, but asking for permission, you know, to kind of talk about neutralizing the colors as well is really, really tough. Now, what were some of the questions that you guys did like that he used? What were some of the questions that you did like?
Well, when he was saying, take me around and tell me what you love about the house.
Yeah.
So that I can put it in the brochure. So right there, he's assuming that he's getting it and talking like he's going to be.
Assumptions.
So what, right?
Yeah.
So I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to see how, throughout the videos, how he kind of curves in, right? And he's really trying to get the listing in a very, he does a hard closing at the end, but he does it very subtly throughout the present. Go ahead, Wendy.
It was the same thing. What made you buy this house?
Yeah.
What did you like about it? Did you buy it?
Yeah, and again, that's a huge part of it. What do you love about the house? What did you love about the neighborhood? We'll talk about the neighborhood as well, because the neighborhoods are selling features as well. Deanna, what was one of the things that you do when you walk into a listing presentation at the beginning?
So at the beginning, what I do is arrive a little bit before the allotted time.
Yeah.
Not too much because that stresses out the seller, but what you do is get out, you know, your clipboard or whatever it
Yeah.
is you use, and start to walk around from your car to the house and start to really digest their house, the roof.
Yes.
Like if they see you at the front, they're not going to be stressed. They see you looking at the roof, and you're checking and really paying attention to the exterior.
Yeah,
And then when you go in, obviously, much like what he did.
yeah,
So a difference I saw, I would note that I'd sit down first and do the walkthrough.
Walkthrough,
Second,
okay.
because the building rapport is really
Yeah.
important.
Go back to what Jane was saying.
Yeah.
Again, how many of you have a clipboard? And this is really important to have a clipboard to do the walkthrough. How many do you have a clipboard or have? Excellent. Now, on that clipboard, what do you have? Are you just making notes, or do you have a checklist, or what do you have?
Checklist.
Checklist? Yep. What's in that checklist that you might have? Yeah. Well, what's in your checklist?
Well, basically all the things I want to hit in the house, like what the floors are.
Yeah.
You know, what the accessories or what the features of the house are.
Yeah.
Because when you walk out, you're going to go, Frig, was it hardwood in there, or was it
Yeah.
granite or whatever? And
Where can you get that checklist? You can make up this checklist fairly easily. What's that?
I just made one.
You just made one.
Yeah.
You take your data sheet from your board and break it down. That's a good way of doing it as well. You just basically, you're going into a detached home versus a condo, right? Have that checklist for you. If it's a condo, have a checklist for that as well. Very important. And I do like the fact that when you're walking, before you walk into the house, really checking everything out. What an interesting note this past week was Angie comes in and says, "Boy, I walked into this house and I should have paid attention to the Mercedes and the BMW in a $400,000 home." I walked in, mortgage poor. They were going bankrupt, right? Again, things like that, just the subtle things. You're like, oh, you know, or they walk in and you just never know what you're walking in. But having that visualization of outside can tell.
I think that we all scan the outside
Side.
as we're walking in, but now I'm going to do it a little bit slower.
Yeah.
You actually are
And I'm gonna write
more
something
aware.
down.
Yeah. So when you're in conversation with them, because you actually didn't rush, you took time to really digest it.
Yes.
You might be in a conversation and they talk about, oh yes, I noticed that, or I find you
Right.
engage more.
That's good.
Good. Excellent. Okay, so let's go to the next stage and continue on.
So now we're moving into stage 2. Stage 2 is all about education. We're going to educate them about the market conditions. We're going to educate them about how to qualify a real estate sales professional. You're going to talk about your qualifications. We're going to educate them about the price of their house, right? And then we're going to educate them about your marketing plan. So have a look. Be back with you shortly.
Listen, what a beautiful house you've got. Obviously, you've done a lot of work to it over the years. Yeah, great job. So who's the one that's got the decorating flair? Yeah, well, you did a fabulous job. It looks wonderful. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to talk about current market conditions, if I may. Now, here's what I've done, is I brought you something we call Market Watch. Now, this is something produced by the local real estate board. We get this every single month, and it brings us up to speed on what's going on in the market, because as you know, markets change day to day, week to week, month to month, and year to year for sure. So what I want to do is I want to show you this document right here. Now, your home, okay, is located in this area right here. I've highlighted it for you already, okay? So if we look at the whole area that the board takes in, what I've done is I've tried to go down to sort of a micro market, if you will, because when I'm looking at market conditions, I'm not as concerned what's happening 30 minutes from here. I'm very concerned with what's happening 200 yards from here, if you know what I'm saying. So this is the area you live in right here. Now, what I have done is a few things. I have actually highlighted the market activity from your very specific area right here, okay? Now what this is this is all sales for the past month. But what I've also brought you that I think you'll find helpful is I've also brought year to date. So what's gone on so far this year, so we understand. And again, I have highlighted right here what's going on in your specific market. So I'm going to show you these numbers right here. And then what I've also done is I've narrowed it down a little further because you have a detached home. You've got a beautiful home. We have townhouses, semi-detached, could be condominiums, okay, high-rises. Obviously, there's many different types of homes. But I'm only concerned with detached because in terms of market conditions, we got to compare apples and apples. So you fully understand what's going on. So again, I narrowed it down a little bit more to just detached houses. So if we take a look at what's going on in the marketplace right now, you're going to find that the average sale price of a listing right now, according to this, and I put it up here for you, is 97%. So if you just pick the average detached house in your market area, the average home is selling for 97% of list price. Any surprise there? Shockers there? Probably not, right?
About right.
Yeah, it's around that. The other thing I thought you'd be interested in, the number of days it's taking for a house to sell right now is 39. Okay, so again, it shows us right here on the sheet, detached homes are taking 39 days to sell. But here's something I think you're going to find interesting. The percentage of a listing selling in any given month is only 31%.
That's really low.
It's lower than you thought?
Yeah.
It almost always is. So you just handled that the way almost everybody handles that, because everybody tends to think what? Everything is selling, right? And by the way, you're in a very good market. So let me show you what I mean. If we move forward here, if we've got, say, 31% of the homes selling every month, that means that we have 3.2 months of inventory. So let me explain that. That means that we can go 3.2 months before, if we didn't list another house, before we run out of inventory. You know what I'm saying? Okay, because 31%, right, times 3 is obviously 93%, and then 0.2 brings us up to 100%. So you understand what I'm saying there? But why this is important, and this is what most people don't understand, like, let's face it, the first rule of economics is what? Supply and demand. Prices of houses, of cars, of anything are going to be determined by supply and demand. When we've got tremendous supply and we've got very low demand, prices are going to go down. When we've got very high demand and we've got very low supply, prices are going to go up, okay? Well, what does this mean? So what's a balanced market in real estate? Well, a balanced market is when we have between 5 and 6 months of inventory. So if we have 5 to 6 months of inventory, that means prices are stable, right? We've got good supply, good demand. It's balanced. When we go below 5 months of inventory, that means prices are starting to what? They're starting to rise, because now we have lower supply, right, and stronger demand. The lower this number goes, the quicker prices are actually going to rise. Now, what's interesting, you get about 6 months of inventory, you probably figured this out by now, prices are going what? They're going down. Now, right now this isn't something you have to worry about. So what's interesting is this indicates we're in a pretty good market, right? So prices are going up. The market is very strong. We only have 3.2 months of inventory. But it was interesting because what actually shocked you was that number. So in a very good market, only 31% of the homes that go to market are selling on a monthly basis. So every month, we have a 31% chance of selling, okay? That's what that all means. Now, any questions about that? Okay?
Great information.
Yeah, did I explain something you sort of didn't get before? Because my whole job here is simple. I want to help you understand maybe some things you don't already understand based on my expertise so that you can make a really good decision for yourself. That's all I want.
That definitely helps.
Okay, good. So if we keep moving forward, the other thing you'll find interesting too is this is an interesting number. So if you just randomly choose any real estate agent, you know, like picking an apple out of a barrel, that agent's probably only selling about 6 homes per year. Now, is that lower or higher than you thought?
A lot lower.
Lower?
Yeah.
So how many do you think the average agent sells?
At least a 1 a month.
1 a month, so that would be 12, right?
Yeah.
Which is over double the average, right? Interesting, isn't it? So, in other words, they're not all as rich as you think, okay? Just so you know, this business is not quite as easy as a lot of people think. Now, saying that, there are some people that sell a lot more, and there's some people that sell a lot less. Make sense to you? Okay, so what I want to do is we move forward. So that is your market. So you can see what's going on in your marketplace. You can see what the, list of sale percentages, the number of days in the market, the percentage of listings selling every month, and obviously the average number of homes that a real estate agent sells. So then my question for you is this. How do you plan to qualify your real estate professional?
I don't know. I mean, kind of just talked about people that we know. Bob came to mind. We see some agents in our area that are selling, looks like they're selling every home, but we've talked to some friends that have used that agent and they're not happy at all. Right. It seems as if they're just in it for a quick sale. Yeah. And we don't want that. Our house is amazing, we know that. Mm-hmm. And we definitely want to make sure that we're going through this process properly. Okay. So I guess to answer your question, someone that knows what they're doing, someone that we can trust.
Okay, so somebody that knows what they're doing and somebody that you can trust, right? Which makes a lot of sense. You want somebody that's good, you want somebody you can trust. And let me set this up a little bit, right? Is it fair to say this home is your most valuable asset? It is, isn't it? Yeah, sure it is, and pretty well for everybody. Most people, it's your most valuable asset. Now, if you're going to buy or sell your most valuable asset, because you're doing both, right? You're going to be selling this, and you're going to be buying another one. It probably makes sense that you need to find the best qualified person for the job. Your most valuable asset, right? Okay. So I want to explain something to you that's going to sound maybe a little bit different, but I'm not as concerned it matters what I'm going to do to get your home sold. I think what matters most, what I do, does it work? Now, I probably just confuse you a little bit, I understand, but stick with me here. God forbid, and I hope this never happens to you, but let's say you did require major surgery. Let's say you had a real medical ailment and you had to deal with it. And you were going to interview a couple of different surgeons, right? You want to talk to a couple different people. You want to get a couple of different opinions, which makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? This is a big deal, just like this home's your most valuable asset. Well, this is a big deal. This is your health. I'm going to suggest to you, when you interview these surgeons, you're probably not going to be as concerned about, so listen, Mr. Surgeon, once you put me out on that operating table, what are you going to do to me? You're probably going to start by asking, well, how many times have you done this? All right? And by the way, what percentage of my chances of making it or recovering, whatever the case is? Would you agree? So you're more concerned about the results that that surgeon's going to produce rather than what they're going to do. So think about real estate. Let's say I came in here, and let's say that I had a 52-point marketing program. But of the 52 points in my marketing program, there's only 8 of them that actually cause your home to sell. The other 44 I put in there because they're listing tools. It's going to make me look really good, and it's going to get you to list. But if they don't actually work, does it really matter? So that means we shouldn't focus as much on what the agent's going to do as probably what they've done for others. That makes sense? What results have they already produced for the people they're working with? Because that's what matters to you the most. Does that make sense to you? So, your most valuable asset, you want to get the best qualified person, then how do you qualify a real estate agent? You said, I want somebody that I can trust and is good at what they do. I understand, but how do you qualify that? Well, here's my suggestion. There's 4 things you need to know about any real estate agent to qualify them. They're right here. You need to know what percentage of list price are they negotiating for their sellers. Now, why do you need to know that? Because this is your most valuable asset. You want a good negotiator, right? You want somebody that's going to be able to go to bat for you. They're going to be able to negotiate buyers up to a price because your listing agent is working for you, not for the buyers. Their fiduciary duty is to you to get you the most amount of money for your house. The second thing you want to know, on average, how long is it taking for their listings to sell? It makes sense, right? Like, if the market average is 39 and it's taking them 80, that would be a little bit of a concern, right? They're doing something wrong there, okay? The other thing you want to know is what percentage of their listings are selling. Remember I showed you just over 30% are selling on a monthly basis in a good market, by the way. That's in a really good market. And then you want to know, well, how many homes are they selling per year? Back to the surgeon. You're interviewing a surgeon. Would you be more inclined to work with one that does that type of operation 6 times a year or one that does it 30? 30. And the reason why is because probably better at it. More people seem to be choosing them, and the more often they do it, the more skilled they're becoming. Would you all agree? So they're the 4 things you need to determine to qualify a real estate agent. Okay? So if you look at this, in terms of negotiating, the average home, remember I showed you, is selling for 97% of list price. I've sold my average home for 99% of list price. So that's 2% higher. Now, we haven't established a marketable price for your home yet, but we'll just pick a crazy number. $500,000, 2%, 10 grand. That's a lot of money, right? So it's $10,000 higher. The next thing is this. The average home is taking 39 days to sell. Well, my average listing is taking 30 days to sell. But here's a biggie. I think you're going to like this. I showed you that only 31% of the homes that go to market are selling every month. I'm selling 92% of mine. Now, that's a big difference, right? So that is the number that I think we need to focus a lot on because you want to make sure that you get a great result produced for you. And then, of course, the average agent is selling 6 homes per year, and you can see last year that I actually sold 24. So again, that's 4 times sort of the average that's taking place right now. So if you just do a quick summary, we're negotiating 2% higher, causing our listings to sell in a slightly shorter period of time. It's not crazy shorter, right? A few days, which is great. But I think this is the one that really stands out right here. So let me ask you this. Based on what I've presented to you so far, because what I've been trying to do so far is sort of build your confidence in my ability to sell your house, right? That's where it all starts. Before we get into the price, I want to make sure that you feel that I could get the job for you, because right now if you said, Rich, we don't think you can do it, there's no sense of what's going on, you know what I'm saying? So based on what I've presented so far, do you feel that I'm qualified to sell your house?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
I think you're qualified, for
Okay,
sure.
good. Let me ask you this. I know you met with Bob. Did Bob go through all of these numbers with you like I did?
Some, he went through some of
Yeah,
them.
he
but
didn't
not
show us how many
yeah.
homes he sold. I had to ask him, and he couldn't even tell me a straight answer.
Right.
So,
Okay. So again, something to consider, but at least you've got my track record right there. So let me ask you this. If we can agree on a marketable price, would you allow me to sell your home for you?
that I think it's something we have to discuss. We didn't really talk about fees or really anything else in the process that may shape our decision. So I mean, those things are also a factor in our decision. I would say, maybe I speak on behalf of both of us, that I feel you're definitely qualified to sell the home. So
very good. Well, let's do this. Why don't we move on to pricing? And maybe what we can do is we can now have a look at what's going on in the neighborhood and try to establish what I call a marketable price. Does that sound good?
that sounds fair.
Great.
Right. So, what did you guys think?
It's great.
I just did want to talk about his cadence and tonality. What do you think of his cadence and tonality of his voice?
I want him to talk faster.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, one of the things is that you did see his cadence and tonality very slow, very easy to understand as well. I just want to point that out. At the beginning, for his market update, what did you think of his market update? It's good. It was very simple visuals, right? In there, very big. The numbers were bold, easy to see, things like that. I liked it. Very simple. We started to break it down because that breakdown was he was bringing it back around to his analysis, his report about how well he is doing. 99% though, that's crazy. That was like last year's numbers, first quarter. Now it's like, it did come down to normalization. It's around 97% to list to sell ratio. Now for unexperienced agents, what can you guys do when you're talking about your numbers? Because you don't have a track record. What do you use?
Push the boutiquiness of your operation.
Exactly. That's right. It does help, right? Because the only thing I'm going to do is when I go to bed at night, I'm going to be thinking about your listing. When I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm going to be thinking about your listing. When you call me, you get me, right? Then you can also bring it back as one of the interesting things that you guys mentioned to me last week. Can you put that data out in reference to the brokerage? I put that information out about the brokerage, about how many deals and how many stats. You reached out to me as well, and I pushed it out there, and it was interesting. The reaction was everybody was congratulating everybody. I thought, well, I told you guys this about 5 months ago. I was like, that was good. It was really nice. But again, you can use the data from the brokerage, because you can always turn around and say, not only am I working for you, I got my whole team working for you. We have an in-house marketing department that just specializes in the marketing department. Last year, we sold over $1.25 billion in sales. We were doing a transaction every 3 hours. That was for last year. This year, it's a little bit slower, but we were doing a transaction every 5 hours. We're the number one brokerage in Simcoe County, selling more homes at an incredible list-to-sell ratio of 97.8%. That's a fake number. Don't write that down. I don't know about that. Did you see how you tried to close? Did you see that? A little too early?
No.
No? No? Okay, that's what I want to hear.
He was feeling them out.
Yeah, he's feeling them out.
He's kind of going on, putting a little branch out there and saying,
Yeah.
okay, where are we? And they're still a little bit hesitant.
Yeah.
He needs to ask them.
And you know what he did? As soon as he did the trial close, listened to what they said, well, I don't know about price and all these numbers, and what did he do right at the very end? He transitioned right into, let's talk about it then, because he's listening, he's testing the waters. I like that. Do you trial close?
Yes, I did a little differently. I ask if we can agree on the price and commission. Do you agree that I'm the best person for the job? So they'll get a yes or no, or you can ask, are they ready to proceed if you agree on price and commission? Hypothetically, are you prepared to make a decision today? So you sort of find out if they're actually ready to sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, 70% of the times, you will not be competing with anybody else, but in 30% of the times, you will be in competition on average. Now, Heather, you like to go first or last in a listing presentation? I know last usually, right?
I like to go first.
First?
And
Okay.
I just close them, and then I say, I'll call the other agents for you.
This is actually, he goes into that as well. That is gutsy, isn't it? Right? Because,
well, if you go last, somebody's gonna, they're gonna have a chance, and they may do the same thing. If they have the same skills that I have, they're gonna do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I want to be first.
Exactly. So again, this is 30% of the time. This is what you're going to be doing, and it's interesting because he does at the end. He goes, "Well, I'm going to call Bob," because it's going to feel awkward to call Bob for you guys, but I'll call him as well. Any great takeaways from that presentation in there? Anything else that you noticed that was good?
I think we got to be more in track of our numbers.
Yes.
Yes, I do, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, in my telesales, we'll call it, any question, try to ask questions that require a yes answer.
Yeah.
So that keeps them in, and he did that.
That's right. Again, Zig Ziglar, that's a classic. Get them, ensure that you're asking those questions for the yes, yes, yes. It's a psychological, unconscious process.
And you nod your head at the same time, so
Yes.
you're not up in
Exactly, yeah. A lot of practice with that. Again, I really encourage you guys, if you never read Zig Ziglar, there's new revisions on that. Heather's, you've read Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar.
You met him, right? Yeah.
I slept with him.
Jay, he's passed away.
That's okay. That's okay. A lot of them have been
Oh God, I love you. Okay, let's move on to number 3.
Ziglar's my daddy.
Well, we do have fun in class.
Okay,
so let's do this. Let's talk about the price of your house, the marketable price. So what I did was I threw this together, but there's really, to cause a home to sell, there's 3 things, might even say 4, okay? But first of all, I believe that 80% of your marketing is going to be price. Because think about it, we have 2 choices. If we've got 31% of the homes that are selling every month, and if the average sale time is just over 30 days, that means our objective should be to get yours priced at a price that's going to cause it to sell in 30 to 40 days, correct? Now, we have 2 choices. We can price it at a price that'll cause your home to sell, or we can price it at a price that's going to help the competition sell, the other homes that are just like yours. Because now what you have to do is put yourself in the buyer's shoes, not the seller's shoes. Now, keep this in mind. This is your home. And this is one of the most difficult parts, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's emotional to you. And it should be emotional to you, right? Think about it. You're here for a couple of years, you got married, you know what I mean? And you've spent the last sort of 5 years here together, starting a family. All of these things happened in this house. So we have an emotional attachment to it. But a buyer has what? No emotional attachment. They're completely logical. They're going to go out and they're going to look at all of the homes that are available, and they're going to decide which ones are the best value. So, first thing we got to do is we got to find what is the right price, right? And it's not you or me that determines the price. Unfortunately, it is the market. All we can do is look at all of the information, and then we can try to make the decision from there. The second thing, we got to make sure we get it exposed to the market. Well, let's face it, we could price your home at the right price, but not tell anybody about it, and it's not going to sell, right? So we got to get it exposed to the market, which I'll talk about that in a minute. And then, of course, the condition, the showing of the home. And there's really 2 components to this. Number 1, we want it to show as good or better than our competitors. And then we got to make sure we have access to it to get people into the house. Because again, price well, right, shows really well, but nobody comes in. So we got to make sure that people get into it whenever they want to come into it. So here's what I've done. There's a couple things we want to do when it comes to pricing. I think we got to look at the homes that have sold. That gives us historical data. That tells us what a buyer, a willing buyer, and a willing seller, okay, agreed upon as a price. That's called market value. No different than a stock. Think about a stock. You could say, okay, you know, I own Apple stock, and I want to sell my Apple stock for $500. And you go on, and it's $350. Well, who's going to pay $500? Nobody, because they can buy it for $350. So that's what I mean, is we've got to find out what's happening in the market. What are people paying right now? And then the second, which I actually believe is even a little more important, is we've got to look at our competition. What do buyers have to choose from? And you're going to be a buyer soon, and this is exactly what you're going to do. So if I look at what's for sale right now, I put them in here. And I've highlighted for you, because I know when you look at a copy of a listing, it looks like computer code, right? Because you don't look at these every day. But what I do is I put the address right here, so you can see this one's just around the corner. Okay, this one here is listed for $699,000, okay, and don't get worried, this is one of them, okay? You can see the lot size here, 63 by 105, so it's a nice size lot. Basically, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, got a completely finished basement. Now, what's interesting is this home here, if you just read with some of the remarks, like you completely upgraded, completely finished basement, I just mentioned, so really it's move-in condition. Okay, so they've done a lot of work on this house. Now, this house would be slightly smaller than yours, okay? But you recognize that model, okay? There's a number of them in there. Then the second is this one right here. And again, if we look at it, it's listed for $729,000. You can see the lot size. They're all about the same in this neighborhood, generally speaking, unless we get a ravine or something like that. But they're all pretty close to the same. Again, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Full basement, but this one's not finished off, okay? And again, they've done a few things to it inside, but quite honestly, not that much. If I had to guess, which one of these two do you think would sell first? This one has an unfinished basement, finished basement. This one's updated, this one is not updated. This one is $699, this one is $729. Which one of those two do you think might sell first? Of course, makes sense, doesn't it? Because more features, right? Pretty well everything else is the same. So if somebody's going to, well, man, why would I pay this or offer on this when I can offer? So you see how logically when you did the decision you just made there? So then if we move on, we've got another one here that's $739. And again, a couple streets away. Lot size roughly the same. 4 bedrooms, okay, 4 washrooms, has 1 extra wash. Completely finished basement, okay. This one has a larger lot, so it's a pie shape, so it's much larger in the backyard, okay? So, of course, a bit of a feature, right? And again, fully renovated and updated, put in a gas fireplace and things like that. So you can see $739, and then this one here is probably the highest price at $749, getting a little closer to the number you mentioned to me, right? Same thing, lot size, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, finished basement, and this kitchen is just, completely renovated, granite countertops, okay? They call it the dream kitchen. So there's obviously been a lot of work done to this one as well. So that's what's for sale, but quickly, let's look at the solds here. If we look at the solds, we've got one sold at $695, okay? You might even recognize that house not far from here, okay? You probably remember that. It was on the market about 14 days. So you see lot size, finished basement, right? You can see, again, a lot of renovation, hardwood floors, renovated ensuite. So there's been a lot done to that house. This one here sold for $705, not far from here. Same thing, lot size, 4 bedrooms. So you can see the same sort of thing, sold in 14 days, finished basement, right? This one had a pool. That can be a plus or minus. Minus to somebody that doesn't want a pool, plus to somebody that does, right? It doesn't add a tremendous amount of value to a house, a pool. And then this one sold here for $715. You can see it was in the market about 9 days of finished basement, So again, custom gourmet maple kitchen, granite countertops, finished basement, wet bar, rec room, office downstairs, put all crown moldings throughout the house. So here's what's interesting if you look at all of this. Our highest sale price is what? So our highest sale price, I'm going to write that down, is $715, okay? We go back here and we look at our second highest is $705, okay? And then we look at the next one is $695. So there's our 3 sale prices that I would consider, and I think you would agree, these are very comparable homes. Same area, just a few streets away, right? Then we go back and say, okay, well, let's look at what is actually for sale right now. And the first one was below $700,000. If I can flip this page here. So it was $699, okay? And then the next one was $729, and then the next one was $739, and then the next one, of course, was $749. So, if I take this and put this away for a second, and if now we just make it really simple, and we look, there's our solds, there's what's for sale. And I think you would agree, very comparable homes. So if you looked at that, what do you think your home's worth?
I don't know. It's always tough to say. I mean, based on the data, I mean, I'm not sure if they all had repainted like we just did. I know we spent a lot of time and money. You know, we did the hardwood floors here, and our backyard. I got to tell you, in the summertime, this is the best backyard ever.
No, fabulous. No, you've done a terrific job. The home's about 30 years old, right?
About that, yeah.
So homes of 30 years old, in most cases, you think everybody's done a few things. Because when you get to that age, right, you know, most of them have been repainted. You know, I went through here and showed you that. So most of them have been repainted. They've pretty well all had some updating. You know, I'm not saying every house, but almost all have had some updating, right? So again, when you start comparing yours, and again, take the emotion out of it, right? And look at it logically. If you're a buyer, and if you went out, and you looked at your house, and I'm just going to put your house right here, okay, at a price of $750, this price. And you were a buyer, and you went out, and you had the opportunity, and we know that only 31% are going to sell every month. That's what the stats tell me. And these were the 5 homes you could choose from. And again, relatively comparable. This one had a lot of, remember this one? It was finished, like crown molding, it was like custom kitchen, ensuite baths all redone and everything else. Do you think you would buy yours? Being logically. I know you love it, and you should love it because it's beautiful, right? Especially when you have this data available to you and it shows the highest sale price has been $715, right? $695 to $715. Here's the deal. We can list your home, You can list at any price you want. You could list at $1.5 million if you want. It's your house, right? But what we have to decide is what price do we have to list it at to make it attractive so a buyer is willing to make an offer. And this is where the hard part comes, because it's got nothing to do with what you want, but everything to do with what a willing buyer is going to pay based on your competition and based on the data they have and based on what's sold. People don't go out and spend $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 on a house and not do the research. Let me ask this. When you go to buy a house, when you move closer to the city, are you going to look at all the homes available in your price range? Or are you just going to look at one?
She's going to look at all.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? I would too. It only makes sense. And once you go look at them all, you become a pretty educated buyer. Would you agree? And are you going to buy the one that you don't think is good value or the one that you think is the best value? And every buyer is going to do exactly the same thing with yours. So what we have to do is this, right? And there's no magic formula here. We have to establish what would be a fair marketable price for your home if you want to sell, right? Remember, anybody can list your home, but not everybody's going to sell it. An agent's going to promise you anything, but at the end of the day, you've got to be smarter than that. You've got to make a decision based on the evidence. That's all we can do. I don't determine it. You don't determine it. The market does. Here would be my recommendation. You ready? Yeah, sure, right? I understand. My recommendation would be, if we want to sell your home in the normal amount of time that it's taking to sell right now, if you want to get it sold, I think you should go on the market at $719. And I would suggest your house is going to sell very close to that because you put on at a very marketable price. You don't need to be very flexible based on what I see here. And if you notice, the highest sale price has been $715. So what I'm saying to you is we can get you that premium price. We've got a good market. You've got a house that you've done a lot of work to. I mean, and it's very emotional. It's a beautiful home. Somebody's going to walk through this house and they're going to love it, right? But I'll tell you what they won't do. They're not going to go out and pay $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 more than all of these other ones they could buy right here. That makes no sense. So let me ask you this. If we could get your home sold for somewhere, you know, the $715,000, $718,000 in that sort of number, would you sell it for that?
I don't know, that's a lot lower than we were thinking, especially because we have to buy another house.
Yeah. We definitely, something you need to know, we need to take as much money out of this asset as possible. Because every single dollar counts. And you know, we really need to maximize the sale price here.
I understand.
So that's where we're coming from.
And you should maximize your sale price. It makes no sense. Like, so your objective is to maximize it. My objective is to maximize it. That's what we should be doing here. You know, we're not trying to give it away, as a lot of people say, or selling it for less. What we're trying to do is establish a price where we're going to get the most amount of money. Because here's what's interesting. A lot of people say, well, you know, why don't we try? Now we always try. Hey, do anything you want. It's your house, right? You can try it, put it on $1 million, like I said, but we know it won't sell. But do you realize that most of the good listings that are going to sell will sell in the first 30 days? And if it doesn't sell in the first 30 to 40 days, the chance of it selling dramatically reduces. Do you want me to explain why?
Yeah.
Think about this. When a home first goes to market, there's all these buyers out there right now. You know what I mean? They're sitting around, they want to buy a house, and they've already done it, and they've looked at everything. And they go, hey, you know, I really see anything I like yet. We're, you know, no mad rush, whatever. The minute a new listing comes on the market, what do they all do? Let's go and see it. Hey, there's a new one. You know what I mean? Just went up in the market. So they all rush out and see it. So the first 30 days, you have a lot of activity. Things are happening, man. Like, it's going on. After 30 days, the only buyers we now have are the new buyers coming into the market because the existing buyers have all looked. And what have they decided? We're not going to make an offer on that house. So your activity dramatically slows down, sometimes by like 60 to 70%. So if your activity slows down, now we just got the new buyers coming in. And then think about this. If they know the average selling time of his home is 30 to 40 days, and your home is sitting there in 40 days, what do some buyers start to think? I know it's crazy, but well, how come nobody else bought it? Do I want to be the stupid one? All right? Because people aren't necessarily trying to make the right decision, but I'll tell you, they're trying to avoid making the wrong one. It's like, well, you know, maybe there's something wrong. How come nobody else bought that house? You know, you're going to be the ones that buy it. So all I'm saying, I'm not saying it won't sell after 30 or 40 days. I'm saying that our chances reduce, and it gets more difficult, and generally speaking, our offers get lower, and we have to sell the house for less than we originally could have got. What's interesting is the first 30 days generally would cause the house to sell the most amount of money, and thereafter it starts to drop and what they're going to get for it. So again, to maximize what you got to get out of the home, right? What you've got to do is you've got to set yourself up that you can get your home sold in, say, the first 30 days, and then you're getting the most amount of money. But the other advantage you have is this. You're also going to have to buy, aren't you? You're going to know how much money you have. You're going to be able to put in firm offers. So again, it's not like you've established how much you're already spending. So you can maximize what you get here, and then you can maximize your purchasing power at the other end, and quite often make up the difference. So let me ask, if you know, do you want to get it sold the next 30 to 40 to 45 days?
Yeah, ideally that would be.
Yeah, I don't want to go through this process for a very long time. I mean, it's going to be a lot of stress for us. I know we want it to be sold effectively, you know, quick, but we really want the most amount of money. That's really, really important for us.
I know. So it sounds to me like you're going to sell your home.
That's the plan.
Okay, you're going to sell it. You want to get moved before Labor Day, right? Which means pricing is somewhat out of our hands and it's in the market hands. Would you agree? Then all we can do is make the best decision we can. And you can ask anything you want, but as I said, right? Like if you said to me, Rich, will you list our home for $780? I would say you better to go above it, because anybody can list it, not everybody can buy it. So big difference. So it sounds to me, I think we can figure out how to agree on this. What I'd like to do now, because I don't want to take up a lot of your time here, but I also want to take you through our marketing program. Now, I don't believe this is as important, right, as my results. Remember I said, it doesn't matter as much what I'm going to do, but I just want to reassure you. So let me take you through some strategic marketing.
Okay, so what did you think of that? What did you think? First of all, I want to break it down. Let's take a look at how he did the CMA when he was doing the pricing of the properties. He went really in depth on each of the properties. Did you like it? Did you not like it? You liked it? And then you see what he did, right? So he was narrowing it down, then he brought it right back into price. And then he started hitting off the prices. And because what was the original price that they had in mind? $750, right? And in the Barrie markets, we were one of the hardest hit markets in Canada last year. In fact, we were number 2 in the hardest hit markets for a typical detached price. It was dropped by about 10.2%. Thank God we had row housing and townhouses that went up by 3.2%, but that was our saving grace. by not making us number one as the worst market. But again, we have been dealing with this for the last 12 months, right? Or even longer than that, with this kind of, we call it the hangover effect. Because how many times have you guys walked into a listing presentation this past year and said, my house is a castle, you know, and my house is worth $100,000 more than you're saying, right? And that's one of the things is that when, how many times with new inexperienced agents, they walk in, present the price, and all of a sudden, whew, the door's shut, right? I just want to kind of go back, talking about likability and trust. When should you ask, how much do you think your home is worth? When should you be asking that?
He asked that first thing.
First thing, right?
His mouth, pretty much.
Yeah, because he had actually asked them on the phone. Heather, when do you ask? Because you want to.
I ask first thing, and a lot of times they'll say, "Well, that's up for you to decide once you come and see the house."
Yeah.
So then I know they're waiting to see what I have to say, but they do have the price in mind.
Yeah.
But I ask right away. So what do you think your home's worth?
Yeah. When do you tend to ask for the price? At the beginning, right?
I find some of them come back and go, well, I thought that's what your job was to tell me. What
Yeah.
It can backfire on you sometimes.
One of the things that I discovered, kind of going back to the psychology of things, you know, we talk about likability and trust. One of the key things is, and I don't know if it was you or Tim that mentioned this, when you're doing the walk around of the home, and you know when you're building up that likability and trust, and then they start talking a little bit more, the doors kind of open. That's usually a great time, and just do it very, you know, just when you're looking at, as you know, the house that sold down the street sold for $640. Just curious. How much do you think your house is worth? You know, and just do it very nonchalantly. That has been effective for some agents. Go ahead.
I like to say, what would you like to get for your house? More than what do you think your home's worth? What would you like to get for your house? Because it's a little bit less like, I'm still going to do my job, but what would you like to get for it? And then they kind of open up about that.
Yeah, very good. Again, a little bit more putting it back onto them, and they're a little bit more open to it, right? So he really put it together. He talked about the pricing, and then he started to kind of transition about bringing it all together. And one of the key words he used, did you hear when he stressed that? If we could, you know, again, bringing it, assumptive closing. You putting it into the back of their mind. I don't know if you noticed when he brought up the original price of $719. Did you see his body language? He put his arms across. As soon as it was like, and it was. Remember, these the two actors are actually not actors; they're actually agents of his. And he just nonchalantly. And then as he started to educate them, he moved forward and started opening up his arms again. Again, he was a little bit more accepting to what he was saying about the pricing of the home and putting it fair market value. Not easy to do. That part right there, if I can stress, going over and over again, especially what we've been facing in the last 16 or 18 months in our crazy market, that would be a real critical part of doing that and really practicing. And again, if you want to practice with me, I'd be more than happy to do that with you. Any other points that you liked or you didn't like in what he was doing?
Just the way that he would put market value into their own terms. I mean, your consumers, your clients, examples, you know, it's not so much what you think it's worth or what you want, it's entirely what the buyers will pay.
Yeah.
Just kind of dumbing it down, bringing it down to a client first level.
I thought when I first watched that video, that was one thing that really struck me as well, was how his ability was, he was not putting the onus on them. You're kind of, you're in control, but the reality is the market dictates the price, not you. And I thought that was brilliant. Again, because a lot of times if we're not educating the consumer just thinks they're in control of the price. And that's what we've seen in this hangover effect time and time again. And again, canceling, relisting, and the price going down. I don't know, did you guys notice from the board the other day that they're going to do I think they have talked about this. He wants to take some market. And do you know why? Another part of that is because Zillow, and it's probably another 2 years away, is going to be taking all of your data, your sales data, and putting that publicly as well. Okay.
But it was always there in Matrix, but they had a glitch and they couldn't get it turned on.
Oh, is that right?
It was there right from the beginning.
Yeah, I saw that, and because I just remember the CDOM and DOM was always the same.
Yeah, they couldn't get it. Matrix itself was having problems with the program.
But
I
if
talked
you
to
are-
Agnes about it.
So on that note, on my master list, I use DOM as a header. Should I change that to CDOM to get the true, like it's now active, it's now working?
You should.
You should, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. Again, that really, it's gonna really expose those cancels and real listings.
You can
even
go in
though
and
it's
get
more-
your own stats off the board that will show that.
Yeah.
So.
So again, very important to have that data. Again, one of the courses I do is the metrics course. That is the most more agents come to my stats training course than any other course. Again, there's a lot of rich data in there that you can reach out to. Okay, let's go into is it number 4 or number 3, guys? I forgot about that.
4.
Thank you. And it's 4 of the 5, I believe.
So if we look at it and say, what are some of the things that we're going to do? Because again, to cause your home to sell, we got to have maximum exposure. We have to get it exposed to the marketplace. We tell nobody it's for sale. You could price it at 0. It's not selling. So how do we do that? First is pricing. You must pick a price, okay, that will cause your house to sell based on the homes for sale and the ones that have recently sold. Nothing to do with what we want. Everything to do with what the market will pay. Okay, so that's number 1. You look at this, I said to you that what happens, your showings are going to dramatically go up in the first 30 days, and you can see they drop off. So understanding the pitfalls of overpricing. So pricing is a big issue. The second thing, what we've got to figure out how to do once we establish the pricing, we've got to get your home exposed to as many buyers as we possibly can. Not a few buyers, as many, right? Because the more people we expose it to, the more showings we get, the more competition, and the more money we get for your house. So how do we do that? We know right now, obviously a lot of people are starting their searches on the internet. Ralph, you said you've been looking for homes how? On the internet.
Yeah.
Okay? So just so you know, we're going to have you set up in about 12 different sites. We're going to use our local MLS board that's going to give you a lot of exposure. So it doesn't matter who they're working with, an agent, your home is going to be exposed to those people. But also, I'm going to get you up on many different sites that I have, that I've created. Okay, so we're going to expose it literally to thousands and thousands of thousands of people. Here's what I can say. If somebody is looking for a home in your area, in your price range, they're going to see it on the internet. I will make sure it's out there. Okay? You look at this, also what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we get it all set up and we make it look really good. Okay, so when it comes up, it's going to be mobile friendly as an example. Okay, so right now, if you look at real estate, only 18% of real estate websites are mobile friendly. And guess what? What do you think people are using today to do a lot of their searches? Especially this younger millennial generation, who, by the way, are over 30% of our buyers. So it's a really big deal, right? Professional staging. Now, this home is beautiful. We don't have to do a lot of work here, okay? You've done a beautiful job in the house. However, this is an interesting story. This was a home that was listed with another company for 6 months and never sold. We listed it and we staged it. You can see the difference. And we staged the house. Is that the same house? Same house. It's the same room, that picture, right? Same room. And we listed it, same price.
They took the light out.
And we sold it in 3 weeks. So it wasn't the price. It was 2 things, condition and exposure. We got it exposed to more people, better condition, somebody bought the house. The other thing, once we get it all staged, what are we going to do? We're going to make sure we send in a photographer and we're going to take professional pictures of this home. Do you know right now, the fastest growing social network site is what? Instagram. What is Instagram based around?
Photos.
Pictures. We need great pictures, right? They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. And you've probably seen some pretty scary pictures of houses, especially in the newspaper realm. You're looking in the newspaper, okay? Social media. This is a big play today. We got to get you up on all of the social media sites. So again, this is something we're interested in. We want to make sure, again, that if we're there, let's put it everywhere, right? And another great thing to do, real estate agents, do a quick search on them and find out, are they involved in social media? What does their website look like? How active are they out there in the world? Proactive prospecting. Just, I've got somebody in my staff that whenever we list a home, we're going to talk to like 500 people right in your neighborhood. We're going to try and find buyers for your house. They might not want to buy it, but they quite often know people that want to move into their area, okay? So we actually do the old thing, we get on the telephone, right? You know, in the old days, this was a great thing. Now everybody's into social media, they're not using the phone anymore. And I'm saying, hey, the phone still works. We're going to put together some really cool visuals for you. Sorry, I'm going backwards here. There we go. Visuals for you. We're also going to set you up in a virtual tour so people can go online. They're going to see your house, okay, in terms of video. And of course, when the offer does come in, you're going to have a skilled negotiator. Remember, I've shown you we're negotiating 2% higher. And then communication. This is a big one. I want to know how you want me to communicate with you. Because I don't want this to be one of those things that's happening and you're saying, hey, what's going on? You know, it was nice that Rich to list their house. We haven't heard from him in 4.5 years. Like, none of that. I'm going to ask you, how do you want me to communicate? By phone? Do you want me to stop by in person? Do you want me to send you an email? How often? But I'd like to talk to you at least once a week. Okay? And I'll have somebody from my office will call back every day after showings to give you feedback on exactly what's going on. You'll be a complete part of the process. Okay? So there's going to be no mystery here. You'll be very comfortable in knowing what's happening all the time. And then the last one, which I think is really important, I offer a 100% guarantee. And the reason I do this is because if I take on a listing, I believe I can sell it. And if you're not happy with what I'm doing, there's nothing else I can do because I know my result. It works. So the challenge here is that if you're not happy and you want to cancel the listing and go with somebody else, just give me 7 days notice and I'm good with all of that. Okay? So I guess the big question is, based on everything I've presented to you here, do you want to go ahead and get started?
Okay.
Welcome back. Okay, you've watched sort of the meat of the presentation now about how to educate the prospect. Do you notice I sort of opened a bit of a gap? I created a bit of a problem, right? You got to share the problem first, and then you start to share the solution. But also, when you're watching that, remember, it's not always just what you say, but it's how you say it. You know, your tonality. Are you saying it with confidence? Is it believable what it is you're presenting to them? And of course, guess who's got to believe it first, right? Yes, you got to believe it first, and you got to believe you're the agent for the job.
Yes, confidence is a huge thing. One of the things that with newer agents, that I find that they're, I'm going to be nervous. Yeah, you're going to be nervous. Are you going to remember everything that you're supposed to say? Probably not. It's almost impossible to remember everything you're going to say. Again, confidence is, and that's why practice is very important. Again, a huge part of this is, again, problem, presenting the problem, then provide the solution. The big part of this presentation, this video right here, was providing value added. Can you add any more onto that you do with the options of what you're going to provide services for?
I just do it a little differently, but same cover the whole thing. I add the value of what I'm going to do before, so it's same. It's just different order. Okay. So I find that what he mentioned, that he doesn't think it matters, all this marketing. Yeah. And I have that directly tied to my close with the commission. Yeah. So I just think that if you reorganize it and you wow them with value, and then you go into his other modules, it makes them start to more comfortable with what you're going to do. It makes more sense. It can tie into his statistics, and the two of them together. It's like powerful of how he gets your house sold. Okay, and that's a good. Again, the order of how you're going to do the listing presentation is key as well. Now, Alicia, you do your listing presentations. Do you do it a little bit differently in reference to the steps? Because
I'm sort of more like her, where I do the marketing kind of upfront and then tie my statistics in part of that.
Part of that, okay. What about you, Judy?
You know what? I must say there's no rhyme and reason to mine, because I just read the people, and I deal with so many 60, 70 plus that they're a little, they need a little more hand holding, I find, and they're more interested in the person and, your background, or my background and things like that. And so it's more developing the rapport first, and then and then what I really do stress the strength of Century 21 now, because I think it's wonderful that Bernie is everywhere, and that we're the biggest brokerage or the most
Yeah.
successful brokerage. So start with that. And
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that some people do, some people don't. Talk about, again, brand recognition is huge. We do spend a lot of money on brand recognition across Canada. Again, you can always go back to that. We're very fortunate in 2017. We're the 20th largest producing brokerage in the world under the Century 21 brand, and that's at over 7,000 offices around the world, which is quite a testament itself. Again, what do you think of the graphics? Do you guys like I like the very simple, easy to understand graphics that he was using right at the beginning, especially with the one where it shows the amount of showings. You see how it drops off. We have I have tons of graphs on that where it shows, week 1, week 2, week 3. If you ever want that information, you can almost get it off the internet as well. That's where I get most of those types of graphs as well. Now, one of the things that, oh, go ahead, Judy.
Can I ask, how many people bring their laptop to their
Yes,
presentation?
thank you. How many people use Tangible versus, what's that?
Take my iPad. I have my listing presentation on my iPad.
Okay. How many people bring paper? Okay.
And paper.
Yeah. There was a great study, I don't know if you guys remember, a brokerage in Calgary had bought all their agents, I don't know if you ever heard about this, Apple computers. And it was a big Apple computer, and their sales dropped by about 20% overnight. I don't know if you, but it was done. It was a clunky, big old Apple computer. I don't know if you guys remember that story. and they just discovered the reason why it dropped was because of the how they were presenting and how the broker said this is how you were supposed to present. Again, Judy, you're talking about your older clients, higher demographic, right? So again, a lot of times, are you using paper versus computer? Paper.
I'm using paper, but I've always found it really awkward. Now I have a fantastic iPad, but I never got into taking that. But before, Terry Leclerc was huge on his on the listing presentation and taking your computer, but I just found it always really awkward.
Yeah.
But that's just maybe lack of practice or whatever.
Yeah. Again, it depends how, you never know when you're walking into the home and you're sitting at the kitchen table how the kitchen's going to be set up, and if there's 2 or more people there sitting there, it can be very awkward. Again, I know some agents that produce a listing presentation, they'll have a Tangible, and then they'll have a computer, and they'll get a feel for it, and they'll actually ask before they present. So again, go ahead.
There's a pretty good CMA, like a stock CMA program on Matrix, in case you haven't seen it. If you do that first, come in with that printed. You can print it in color, of course. It actually ties in some of these elements of the graphics, days on market, that kind of stuff, and there's room to customize it on site so that, no longer will I come in with an actual price in mind. I'll usually come want to see the home, of course. But you can actually have this discussion, tie it all in, and then that last page is for my recommendations. So that's where you can kind of bring it all together and have the best of both worlds. You'll have the graphics, the color, the simplicity, a couple of relevant comps, and then room for notes and discussion. And
and there's actually it has that days on market, and it has that graph in there as well. It has actually about 40-50 pages that you can choose from, and you can interchange it. There's a lot of flexibility. You can also include your own graphs in there as well, so you can upload and put it into the listing the presentation itself.
And the one thing that I see what he's doing is with a pad of paper. They're watching how you came up with a number, and they can question anything along the way. Instead of coming in with a CMA, we'll say, that's what I think you should list for. You've gone through it with them, you wrote it down, they can visualize how you got to that number, they're watching you do it, and you're saying, so this is where you should be. And you get 2 things then. You get their reaction right away. They throw you out of the house. Right? But then it's right there in front of them. And if they've got any objections, they're going to question some of the comparables, right? The vinyl in the kitchen and the paint they put on the wall. But the reality is, and he qualified all that, but that sets it right there. I mean, and it's simple. It's right in front of them how that number was brought to, and they watched you do it instead of having it pre-printed. So I think it's a better tool.
I find too, people don't generally, in my experience, don't have that kind of time to sit through all that. Like they want to cut to the chase. They're busy people, and they want to. They're most anxious on what the price of their home is.
Look at it, and what are some commission, right? We're going to do because.
So in this case, he's competing with Bob, who's a friend, a mutual friend, which is a problem.
Yeah.
So he's gotta go through every.
He's really going after the value added, you
He's
know.
got to undermine the value of other agents
Yeah.
and put his value in the forefront.
Exactly. So one of the, I just want to mention a few other things that I know most of my new agents are fully aware of this, and I hopefully my experience. DDF. What is DDF?
Data distribution.
Yes, thank you. And what's the advantage of being part of the DDF as a brokerage? Because we sign a contract to have all of our listings to be sent out. And one of the things is that I always suggest is when you're talking about the kind of getting that property sent out, what you're going to see in usually about 3 to 4 days after we have it listed on the MLS system on Realtor.ca, what you're going to see is, and I don't want to just put it on Century 21 websites. I want to put it on other websites such as Remax, such as Royal LePage, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that that property is listed across all of our 9,000 agents across Canada with Century 21, as well as part of our Remax family and Royal LePage family that's part of the DDF program. So don't be surprised when you go to Google it, you're going to see it on all these thousands of websites, because I want to make sure I'm maximizing the exposure of your property to everyone out there. Again, then on top of that, what we've done is Century 21 has partnered up with Zillow. Zillow is a real estate website company down in the United States that's moving up here into Canada. And what we're doing right now is we're going to make sure that we're actually advertising it on the Zillow website, because Zillow website is the most trafficked website in the world for real estate. Again, it is going to be marketed down to the Americans, but again, we want to make sure we're maximizing exposure, not only north of the border, but also south of the border as well. Again, just making sure that you guys are fully aware of that. Now, I just want to touch on social media. Social media, again, as you know, with a lot of the agents in this room, does social media sell the home? No. But what does it do, though? It appeases the client. They want to see that that listing is on social media. If you have questions on how to target and how to make sure that that property, that listing, gets targeted on their Instagram or their Instagram site or their Facebook site, you can always come to me and I'll show you how we just target that neighborhood $1 a day and making sure it's getting, if they either have a Facebook site or Instagram site, it's going to get on there, okay? We do show you guys that as well, okay? So just appease them.
Just make one point, and I know I'm guilty of it at times too. When you list a property, Google it yourself before the client does.
Yeah.
And find out what it looks like out there to the rest of the
Perfect.
world.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've been guilty of not checking Realtor.ca to make sure it went up right.
Yeah.
And then I check a day later, go, oh crap, that picture shouldn't be there, or
Yeah.
I can move stuff around. But if you're not checking where it goes out into the universe, and they find it someplace, they're calling and saying, why is Judy McKechnie from ABC Realty listening?
Yeah.
And they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and that's really important. What I usually suggest with our new agents, I said, when you tell them when it's going to be listed, give yourself 24 hours, okay? And so you can check the credibility or what it looks like out on the internet, because everybody's going to be scraping that data and grabbing it and pulling it in, okay?
But it's your job to be marketing that home, so every morning you should be Googling it again and making sure everything still looks good, the sign didn't drop off.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go on to, I believe, the final video, okay? Objection handlers. So this is going to be good.
Cause your home to sell, we got to have maximum exposure.
This is going to be the quite an interesting close here.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move into the third stage, the last stage, and this is about handling objections and asking for the order. Now, you're going to listen to me handle some objections. They're going to give me the commission objection, right? They're going to give me the price objection, and they're going to give me the objection that, oh yeah, we want to talk to another real estate agent. And just listen to how I handle those as well. You might have some of your own ideas as well, but hopefully you're going to hear this, and you're going to, boy, I can see how that would become easier if I would help the prospect when they give me an objection, see that it's to their advantage to go with my advice. So have a look, and I'll be back in just a few minutes.
I think great presentation.
Thank you.
Great information. I think that giving us a lot to think about. I know we haven't really talked about the costs associated with moving. Now, this is our first time selling a home. So I don't even know. I know when my parents sold their home, that process, but I was just a kid. I mean, what are your fees?
Good question. There's generally 3 things that people need to think about when it comes, so they get, what do I need to think about? And I understand it's a big decision. It's your most valuable asset. Number 1 is they need to think about, is that agent qualified to handle the sale of the home? That's number 1. So the first thing I got to ask is, do you feel comfortable? Do you think I can handle the sale for you? Do you think I do a good job?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're qualified.
Okay.
If you had to pick, and it's okay to say no, by the way. It's okay to say no, Rich, we're not listing with you. I'm good with that, right? If you had to pick right now between myself and Bob, based on what I presented and based on what Bob presented, I know he's a bit of a friend. I know, he hasn't been in real estate a long time or anything like that. You got a bit of a relationship, but who do you think is best qualified to sell your most valuable asset?
I think you're more qualified to do it, yeah.
Yeah, and it is your most valuable asset. Okay, so we could agree you probably think that I can do it for you.
Yeah.
I feel that way, yeah.
Then the second thing we got to figure out is the commission. So everybody goes, well, you just said it, Rolf. And by the way, it's a great question. Okay, our brokerage fee is 5%. Okay, and you're comfortable with that?
No, that's the total fees.
Yeah, it's 5%. So it's 5% of just the sale price. Now, you know what's really cool about that fee? You only pay it if I sell it.
You what?
You don't pay anything if they don't sell it.
Oh.
I can tell you're a little hesitant there. What's going on? Bob quote you a fee?
Yeah, Bob was a little cheaper.
Was he? What did he quote you?
Yeah.
4%.
4%? Wow. Good for him. Now, I will say to you, commissions are flexible. Agents can charge whatever they want. It's a free world, and that's a good thing, right? And you should be concerned. However, I would ask you this question. Are you more concerned about the actual fee, or do you want to make sure you net out the most amount of money? What would be the answer to that?
Of course, not at the moment.
So the reason you're asking about fee is because you think if you get a lower fee, you're going to net out more money, right? Okay. And Bob didn't share with you the percentage of listings that he's actually selling and that sort of thing either, right? Because there's no fee. I could charge you 1%, but I don't sell you, you don't pay, right? So let me show you something. Remember I showed you that I'm negotiating 2% higher? So what's interesting is when I present this to people, they go, wow, I never thought about it that way. But you realize by working with me, you're actually going to net out more money. Remember I showed you, said, okay, I'm just going to pick round numbers, okay? Just, because it's easier this way. But let's say, we did have a price of $700,000. Obviously, 4% of $700,000 is how much? That's a fee of $28,000, correct? We take $700,000, right, and 5%, and we know that's $35,000, correct? However, what is 2% of $700,000?
$14,000.
It's $14,000, right? So the difference is $7,000 in fee. But based on my negotiating skills, I'm actually netting people $14,000 more on the $700,000 sale. The average home is selling for 97% of this price, and I'm getting 99% of this price, 2% higher. So in other words, by working with me, you're not actually paying 1% more. What you're actually doing is you're making $7,000 more. So let me ask this, your most valuable asset. Do you think I'm a decent negotiator? Honestly. It's okay to say no. But based on what I presented, you think I'm a good negotiator?
Probably, yeah.
And think about this for a minute. The easy thing for me to do is, oh yeah, I'll cut my fee. But I'm not willing to do it. And the reason I'm not willing to do this is because I'm not willing to cut my services because I want to get your home exposed to as many people as possible. And if somebody is possibly charging less, are they doing all the same things? I can't answer that. But here's what I do know. I do know that when an offer comes in your home, you're going to have a strong negotiator. And if I can't sit here in front of you right now, if I can't negotiate my own commission, would you really want me to negotiate and sell your most valuable asset? You ever heard the old saying, you sometimes get what you want? Pay for it, right? So what I'm saying to you is you're going to get a skilled negotiator. Do you see how this all works? Is this making sense to you? Okay, so then the last thing that people need to think about is they need to think about what the price they're going to list their home at. That's always the third one. They say, well, I want to find an agent that's qualified. I got to figure out the brokerage fee. We've talked about that. Okay, it sounds to me like you're fairly comfortable so far. then we've got to figure out the price. And I mentioned to you a list price of $719,000. Are you comfortable listing your home at that price with me tonight?
No.
Well, it didn't take long.
I like that. I want to answer before she did.
Logically, it makes sense.
What price would you list it for?
I mean, our initial thought was 750,000. You know, I understand that it may not be 100% realistic, but I feel that 719, you know, maybe we're selling ourselves a bit short. Like I said, we really need to maximize. We need to take every dollar from here for our new home.
And you should. And you should. You know, but here's what I can tell you. At that price, you're not moving. Like, it's not an option. Like, that's what I mean. It's not an option. You can list it at that price, but you're staying here. So the question is, do you want to stay here?
What about if we list it for 725?
725? So you're thinking 725. I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do. We'll list it at 725. But in the first 2 weeks, if we don't have the amount of activity that I feel as a professional that we should have, because I want to take advantage of these first 30 to 40 days, right? Then I'll be sitting down with you in 2 weeks, and we'll look at that, and I want you to consider strongly adjusting it to a price that'll cause it to sell. Like 725 is not far off, so I think it's in the range, you know what I mean? And your house is very emotional, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. But if not, in 2 weeks the activity's not there, we'll sit and talk about it. How's that sound?
Yeah, I think that makes more sense.
Okay. So, should we go ahead with the paperwork?
Ask the boss.
Wow, we should at least talk to Bob, no?
Yeah, I feel like we should give him a call.
I understand. Why don't we do this? You've already, I think, made up your mind by the sounds of it, right? You're saying, like, we gotta call Bob, right? So, why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead with the paperwork, right? We'll get it all signed up, get you going. And to make you more comfortable, do you want me to call Bob? And real estate agents do that all the time. Well, listen, Bob, I need some people that did that, right? And we talked about it, and they decided they want to go ahead and work with me. That was pretty easy for you.
It's a great option. I appreciate it. I think I'm better off. I'd rather just tell them ourselves.
Well, let's go ahead and get the paperwork done, and then you give Bob a call.
Sure. You okay moving forward?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Poor Bob.
Hey Bob, I got your friends here on this thing.
Okay. What did you think of that? Some uncomfortable moments there, right? And that's
okay, you've watched the whole thing. Now let's move into the action plan over the next little while. So first of all, just so you know, you can go online, and we also have more role plays of other objection handlers. So I would say go listen to those. The other thing is we actually have some outtakes we've recorded that would probably answer some questions that you might have right now, like what to do if you're a new agent and you don't have statistics, things like that. So we've created all that content for you, so just go online and you can watch that. What I'd also recommend you do is go online and download the listing presentation template. So now you got to create a listing presentation, right? Now, a lot of people, well, this is a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work, but come on. Like, are you a professional real estate agent? Do you want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars in this industry? Well, guess what? We got to get up there. We got to be like the top 1% if we're going to do that. So download the template. You can create your listing presentation as well. Some other things, you got to calculate your statistics, obviously, based on what you saw in the presentation. And then what you want to do is you want to start to practice the presentation. Like, create your listing presentation from the template, and then you need to start to practice it, okay? Start to become a true pro, a true professional. Remember, there's amateurs and there's professionals, and professionals make the big money. They do the most amount of sales. Okay, so great job, and don't forget to keep making your calls. Don't forget to keep generating leads. Don't forget to keep bringing value to your lifetime referral system, and I will see you in the next module.
It's a beautiful life. It's
I know. Misses opportunity there. Okay. So throughout the whole presentation there, especially at the very end, he was soft closing the whole time, wasn't he? You know, it was amazing how he just kept on working towards it, working towards it. A lot of agents in that ending part, when he's doing a lot of the soft closing, and he's asking the tough questions, and that's where our fear comes in, right? One of the biggest challenges that we face is when we're in this situation. If you notice what he was doing, he would ask the tough question, and then he would go silent. That awkward moment of silence. And that's where we as agents, we have to practice asking the tough questions and shutting up. Right? That's the key part, because what's the kind of the knee-jerk reaction when there's silence? Agents love to talk, right? We just want to jump in. And that's one of the things is that in those critical moments, and he's asking those questions, and I'd write those tough questions down and just rehearse them, until it becomes second nature. You know, it's just like you hit those points when he's doing it. What was positive? What was negative? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your feedback?
I think that I learned 2 years ago the importance of the soft close throughout the entire presentation, because 2 years ago I was so focused on getting my presentation done that at the end I was like, okay, do you guys want to sign? And they were like so ready to sign that I was like, I think I just literally did this whole presentation for nothing. If I would have tried to soft close them, I probably could have got them to sign, like from the moment I walked in. Like I think they had already decided they'd done the research, and it was like, yeah, we're ready to sell our house, but I was like so focused, I got to do this presentation. And so the soft close I think is really important, is to keep bringing it up through the whole time.
And again, because it's in the back of your mind as well, right? Now, Heather, do you do a lot of soft closings?
Yeah.
Throughout?
And as far as the comps, I don't necessarily use them in my presentation.
Okay.
I use them as objection handlers. So if they disagree with me, that means they don't quite trust me yet. So now I'm going to prove to you with my comps.
Yeah.
So normally I'll say, well, I've done my research and I found that your home should be listed at $749. And they say, $749? Yeah. And let me show you why I got that. And then because I find when you pull out the listings, they're picking them apart and saying, oh, well, that's the one on the corner. Yeah. And that has a sidewalk. And they're picking apart the listings a lot more. Yeah. So I don't bring them out. They're not part of the listing presentation.
And again, a very key part of this is having the ability to know when to bring things in and when not to bring things into your listing presentation. I know that I'm going to talk about Floyd Whitman program, and actually Doug Thompson has a listing presentation program that's online. You got it, actually. You have it. Doug Thompson gave it to you. Where you basically, as you're going through the listing presentation, you can quickly go in and out of different slides very quickly. And because you're just kind of, again, it takes a lot of experience, a lot of training to do that, to kind of be able to interchange with that as well, and kind of move with the flow. Because a lot of us, as Alicia was saying, you know, when you first do the listing presentation, you go in with a very structured format, and then you come with, as the experience comes along, you're able to kind of, okay, this is when I'm able to negotiate. And I remember when he was saying about, okay, let's do the 725. Okay, and that was kind of
do that every single time. Well, because I'm already thinking we could probably do it. Then.
Yeah.
Well, but only for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks or 10 showings, whichever comes first.
Yeah. Perfect. And it was basically, I knew that he was going to close on that. I just had a feeling he's going to close on price, and he did. He closed it, and let's do the paperwork again. And that's when he was doing the hard close, which is good. I thought he was very comfortable doing it. Any suggestions from you?
Well, I think that you have to, like you said, you got to stay in control of the price. But I think you have to try to eliminate that it's you against them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're educating them. I think he needs to ask a few more questions instead of talking at them the whole time.
Okay. Yeah.
Just sort of like start to educate them, and then I think it's important that he really, and he's had all the content. It's just to emphasize, ask more questions. I think you really have to get the buyer to understand your house serves two purposes.
Yeah.
It's a place to live, it's emotional, but it's an investment. And you have to put your buyer hat on, like he did, and really get in there. And I think that he did a really good job. It's just that I found them a little defensive, and with all these closings, I think he could have brought them around a little sooner. Well, you work it as it feels natural to you.
Yeah.
Just to sort of, so that he's not so much telling them a price anymore. You have to control it, but you really want them to start feeling silly to tell you 750 after what you just showed them.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Speaking of that, when you were going through the course, you got a lot of great advice from Kathleen Black in regards to this. Was she more of a soft close or a hard close?
No, definitely soft closing throughout, and then definitely at the end, it's layered.
Yeah.
So you start off with a rapport,
yeah.
Then it's very much about, you know, it's not, you don't really get into that talking. You want everything to be like clean, crisp, move along. You know, so it's like a kinesthetic thing where they get to see your work, but you can't bore them. You have to keep moving it along.
Yeah.
So rapport, asking a lot of questions to make sure they're not just sitting there, yeah, okay. You know, you want to make sure they're agreeing with you. Yeah. And if there is an objection, handle it then. Don't wait all the way to the end and then be like in this sort of defensive mode. Yeah.
Okay.
So he does, like I said, all of his content is great. I think there's no problem with just reorganizing it the way that maybe the personality of the person or what feels good to you.
Again, going back to what Heather was saying as well, reading the person and being able to kind of, you know, and again, that's really, it's not easy to read those people. So, and again, people can change. You watching the body language and stuff like that is critical.
But you have to know this so well that you can roll with things. You can't be so scripted that you're like, what do I say now? You gotta like know it so you can.
Floyd, no problem, and then just keep going.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
But no problem.
I know some agents that start with everything with no but. I'm like, do not walk in my office with no but.
Did they talk about the safe island at the beginning? Because I wasn't.
No, they didn't talk about the safe island. That's more Floyd Whitman.
Okay. Yeah, but did they talk, like, one thing I've learned very early was I hate sitting through presentations. I hate it when somebody's doing a big long presentation, like whatever it is, Amway or insurance. Yeah. I don't care. I want to know how much it's going to cost me. Right?
Absolutely.
But when we go on listing appointments, we tell them exactly what's going to happen.
Perfect.
Before it happens. Mm-hmm. So first I'm going to ask you some questions. Then I'd like you to show me the house like I was a buyer. So I want to hear all the good points about the house. Then we're going to sit down and I'm going to go through all the forms that would be involved in getting your home on the market and any questions you might have. Then we'll discuss price and then we'll come to a mutual decision. So they know they're expected to be asked that question at the end before I even have to ask it. So they're not uncomfortable with it. They're not thinking, well, you're not supposed to ask me that right now. Yeah. They see it, and it's actually written out. That's the 5 things that I do.
Again, establishing authority as well, right at the beginning as well, showing, again, and it's like a chapter of a book. You know, you're kind of giving them that guidance and direction of what's going to happen over the next hour or so. Just curious, how long is your listing presentations?
About an hour.
About an hour? An hour. What about you, Wendy? Yeah.
Longer than that, yeah.
Depends how long you're looking at the house.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how talkative they are, because you don't want to shut them down.
Yeah.
But the difference is one's a listing presentation and one's pricing. So the listing presentation itself, it's got to be crisp and quick, or they're going to be like,
and that's why
15 minutes, 20 minutes tops just for
my
that
listing
part.
presentation is quick. It's just my marketing and that. I don't even get into the price at that point. And then
yeah, you saw how he was bouncing into the listing presentation, bouncing out because he was dealing with some rebuttals there, and then jumping back in because he was testing the waters, right? So again, very important. I cannot stress this more than enough. Please, there's a good group here. Please, if you want to make accountability partners here in respects to doing listing presentations, you can, if Deanna wants to talk to you about how she does it, or if you want to see how she does it, you can always ask her. I'm not putting her on the spot right now. But first of all, I just want to do some, before we end the class today, I just wanted to go through some maintenance things. So next week, the class will be canceled. I'm down in Toronto for my management course. So that's all of next week. Again, a lot of events are actually happening in Toronto next week. The Richard Robbins event is happening. Brian Buffini event is happening in Toronto next week. So again, a lot of different events. Also, we have Mark Weir, the real estate lawyer, is going to be attending at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning here. He's going to be doing cannabis legalization. He'll be talking about wills and estates. He's going to be talking about incorporation as agents. So 10 o'clock tomorrow morning with Mark Weir. If you miss it, I'm recording it. Okay, I'm actually streaming it live for tomorrow. Again, very fortunate to have him come over to us. There was something else I was going to mention. I think
Christmas party?
Oh yeah, Christmas party next Friday actually. Who's attending the Christmas party? Good group, good stuff. I just want to mention first of all, just want to thank our brokerage. Two of my friends lost everything that they had about 2 weeks ago, and 20% of their both Shane and April. They were married, and I've known them for quite a few years. And what was amazing, they lived down in California. They used to live in Paradise. They almost lost their lives. Thankfully, I talked to Shane late last night actually. And Shane told me the story of how they escaped. There's a video that I put on my Facebook timeline. But what was amazing was Century 21 stepped up to the plate. 20%, over 20% of the donations to both Shane and April came from our Century 21 brokerage. And Heather, thank you so much for your donation. Heather does a lot of philanthropy down in Cuba as well. So it's amazing how our family comes together, for people we don't even know. And it's just nice to see that time and time again. So thank you guys so much, appreciate it, and we will see you not next week, but the following week. Okay, guys, appreciate it. Yeah. What's that?
I know. I
yeah.
got a couple. I got through the one.
I started last night.
And well, you're gonna let us